Hi everyone, BlakkWater here. Welcome back to my channel, BSI. First off, I'd like to apologize to everyone for having my updates so far apart from my first video. I had two tests back to back that I needed to stop and study for. With that being said, let's get into this brief status update. Previously, I mentioned that I'd like to implement a player flight system. This was to give players an option of freely moving around a large map without taking away from the immersion of the game. This basic flight system has been set up, and also my default character has been updated. The basic flight system is extremely static and stiff, but working. As time goes on, I'll refine the flight controls to have a more realistic system instead of such a robotic and stiff flight control system. So if you give me just a brief second, I'll give you an example of what the updated controls look like. So again, this is my updated default character. This is what the players will have access to when they decide to customize their own character. This will be the base that they customize from. Now again, this is the normal run speed of the character. It also has a sprint feature which looks a little bit like this. As you can see, it's reasonably faster, yet it's not fast enough for such a large map. As you can see in the background, that large mountain, it will take some time to get to it, which is why I came up with the thought and idea that I should implement a flight control system which looks a little bit like this. Now, even if it doesn't look like it, this flight system is actually moving faster than if you're sprinting on the ground. It also has a burst flight mode which moves your player even faster, and that looks just a little bit like this. Wrong button, excuse me. So yes. I'm flying low to the ground just to give you a contrast so you can see the shadow and the ground under you moving. Because if I fly in the air, then you can't really tell what it looks like. And again, the controls are very stiff from the turning and all of that. And seriously, if you take a second just to look at the player while he hovers idle, you'll almost want to start humming the Iron Man theme song. Not only that, and this really kind of bothers me, when flying and changing directions, it's super stiff. I mean, it's just very, very stiff, and I plan to work on that as time goes on. I also plan to add a particle system that's activated during burst flight mode. I think it'll look real cool having energy leaking out of a player as they fly back and forth running quests, going from town to town, or doing whatever it is they want to do, at the same time needing to move just a little bit faster. Now, I've had somewhat of a form of writer's block when creating the actual character creation scene. I finally decided on the actual background. Now I'm selecting the user interface options that I like the best. Next would be the stats and the stat radar. Most RPGs usually have between 3 to 6 attributes that players can drop stats into in order to strengthen their character as they level up. I personally have chosen to go with 7 different attributes in order to open up a different yet similar playing field. At this time, I will not release what these attributes are or how they affect a player's character. I will, however, release the stat radar chart that will be used to identify the player's stat specialization, just to give you a brief look and window into what I intend it to look like. One moment. So this is, again, to accommodate the 7 attributes. This is a septagon, or a 7-sided polygon. Each section will represent one attribute that a player can specialize in. Now, maxing a player's stats will not be the end all. It will be the starting line to the next player development stage. Also, starting player level cap will be 100. Only after a tedious quest and experience grinding will players' level exceed that. Now, because of a heavy experience penalty that will be applied to players as they exceed the starting level cap, I'm currently designing a questable experience boost skill. This will not only reduce heavy experience penalty to almost nil, but it will also open up a deeper level of exploration for players, as the NPC that gives this quest will not be in a common area on the world. Now, the music you hear in the background is one of 2 music tracks I've purchased rights to in order to supply my project with reasonable background music. I currently still have somewhere between 15 to 20 hours of music that I need to go through in order to decide what I'm going to actually use as background music for different sections of my game. Now, as many of you have noticed, the base character is in their underwear. This is mainly due to the fact that I'm really still undecided on what I want the clothing in the game to look like, so I haven't really gotten to that. I could do something extremely generic, but I just don't want to. Now, just to give everyone a little contrast of the speed for the player, let me restart this scene. And what I'm going to do is load in another character, and it will not be able to fly. So let me turn off those settings. Now again, this is just to give you contrast as far as movement is concerned. So 1 second. Okay, there we go. Now the character on the left has all controls activated. The character on the right has majority of the controls activated except for flight. So if I move them, they'll both move at the same time, even up to sprinting. This is the exact same speed, so they won't outrun each other. However, when I activate the flight mode, as you can see, flight is a little bit faster. And that's actually a little bit slower than I thought it would be as far as the flight controls are. Let me make them come back. Now, if you can tell the little glitching that's going back and forth, that's because both of these characters currently have the same main camera focused on them. So it's just jumping back between which avatar it's going to focus on during this scene. And this is, again, basic flight and basic run. Now when I activate the burst flight mode and sprinting, you'll see a huge difference. And again, the stiffness of the flight controls, it stands out so much. So that's definitely going to be my next task after I finish with the character creation scene, and because it really kind of takes away from the experience, and that just doesn't look right. So again, this is it for today's update. I thank everybody for coming by. Please like and subscribe to the video for more future updates, and also for supporting my channel as I keep producing these updates. Again, thank you for your time, and everyone, you have a nice day.